G'day, welcome back to the Before I Go podcast, a place for us to share things or ideas that are meaningful to each of us in the hope that they will encourage and support other human beings along their journey. So today I want to have a chat about a couple of really simple concepts that I have used and were introduced to me when I was starting to upskill in becoming a coach. And these are the two concepts. The first is a model called the if-then approach to life. And the second, which is in a very similar area, is be, do, have. And I'll unpack them both now. So I think I first heard about the if-then model when I was listening to some content from the Resilience Project. And if-then is very simple. It's the concept that most of us go through life with a mentality and a way of seeing things that governs our behavior, which goes a little something like this. If I can attain or eventually get what I want, then I will be happy. And it's founded on a fundamental flaw, which is this idea and belief that things outside ourselves or circumstances are able to imbue us with some sort of feeling of satisfaction or enough worth and value in this world. So it goes like this: if I can get enough money, then I will feel safe. Or if I can lose enough weight, then people will love me and then I will feel loved. Or if I can just work my whole life earning enough and creating enough assets and wealth, then I will be able to finally have rest and be in peace. You can go through as many of these as you want, but hopefully you understand the simplicity of the model. And the reason why it's important for me to share this is because that's not how this thing works, as far as I can tell with life. And I say that because our emotions don't come from objects. It might appear that way, but again, if we were to find a 3 or a 4-year-old who clings tightly to their teddy bear as a sense of security, and they rock themselves to bed each night holding their little teddy bear, if we were to, what might seem like kind of cruelly, but scientifically dissect the teddy bear, you would find out that there is no beacon of transmission somehow sending out feelings of security and warmth and peace and okayness for the little child. So as adults, it's pretty simple for us to be able to grasp that and go, yeah, of course teddy bears don't make kids feel happy and comforted. Same way that pacifiers don't do it, right? There's nothing in a pacifier that imbues the child or the baby with a sense of peace. Now I understand there'll be a whole bunch of people who will look at that and go, yes, but it's actually the physical motions that they're going through that are triggering chemical responses in their brains that allow them to... I understand, right? What I am saying though is that the way of living that postpones our happiness, our ability to love ourselves, to be calm and whole, the idea that that needs to be postponed into the future once a certain criteria has been met is to starve yourself of the God-given power you have now to create the thing that you really want, which tends not to be a thing. What most people really want, when I dig deeper, is a sense of love and to be seen for who they are. That really is at the heart of it. Do you see me for who I am, and do you love me for who I am, and am I enough? So if then is a really important screening concept to figure out whether your motivations for something that might happen in the future are starving you of the absolute gift of the present moment that we are in right now. Because right now, you don't need anything outside yourself to be able to create a feeling of love for yourself or for another person. I was talking to a beautiful human just a couple of days ago. And I said, did you ever learn how to love someone? Right? Did you have to upskill and get a degree in that incredible, explosive sense of loving another human being? The answer is no, right? It was always planted inside you, and it's always accessible. It's only the thought that things outside ourselves have some power over our happiness or our ability to feel love and peace. That idea is what separates you from being able to know that you are the one creating those feelings. So the most gentle thing I can offer is, should you be falling into the temptation to postpone your okayness into the future once a certain set of circumstances or criteria or goals are met, you are doing it in a really hard way, right? If and then something does not need to occur in a future state that may or may not arrive in order for you to love exactly who you are and exactly who other people are right now. Nothing creates those feelings for you. It's only you. So if and then, and as I mentioned, a very close sister or brother of the if-then model is be, do, have. And so this is, again, it's a sequence that we get muddled up in our heads from either external conditioning or having a little belief to start off with that starts to grow into something quite toxic. So be, do, have. The be, do, have model goes a little something like this. Most of us think to ourselves, what do I have to do to have what I want to have so that I can be, insert blank here, happy, fulfilled, strong, sexy, whatever it is. So we tend to operate in that sort of model. What do I have to do now so that I can have what I want to have in future, and then I will be in a certain state that I desire? You can see how so much of the advertising and consumer world preys on this, because it follows the same thing. What do you need to do? You need to buy this product, because when you have this product, then you will be happy, right? Or service, or whatever it is. So we constantly get busy as badgers, doing, because we're convinced that it's in our doing that we will eventually have and be what and who we wish to be. The truth of this is that it's flipped, just like the if-then model. The true way of us being able to sense freedom and creative expression is to go, instead of what do I have to do to have what I want to have, to be how and who I want to be, who do you need to be right now in order to be able to do the things you want to do so that you can have the thing or the experience that you would like to have? Who do I need to be able to do what I need to do in order to have what I want to have? I love a book that I read about a year ago, which many of you will be familiar with, and it came out in the charts and has been at the top of the Australian book charts for quite some time. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's an excellent book. For those who are watching this and not listening to it, you can see it up on the screen now. And I love it from a coaching perspective, because so many people that work with me, when we talk about goals, which is inevitably what most people turn up with, an idea that they have a certain goal that they need to achieve and they'd love to work with someone to achieve that goal, they tend to think that kind of like the be, do, have model, if they can just do something or have a certain outcome, then they'll be happy. So this book, Atomic Habits, for the large part is 80% an instruction guide, right? And this is where things get really tricky, because common sense says that if you want to learn how to do something that you can't do right now, You can YouTube it or Google it and you'll have the answer. There's an idea that most of the how-to conundrums that most of us face have been solved in the past decade because information is so readily accessible on the internet. I don't take my car to mechanics for most things now because I just YouTube it and do it myself. Right? There are so many options for you to be able to do the things that you think you would like to be able to do, to have the skills, that it's not really a question anymore of what habits do I want to create and what skills do I want to be able to upgrade or have in my life. What holds most people back in my experience is that they think that they lack the courage or capacity to go after these things in the first place. So we dance around and we say, okay, what is it that you'd like to do? What are you seeking? Is it a new job? You wanting to lose weight? Is there a relationship that you would like to mend? And at its core, this all comes back to a much deeper thing, which is not necessarily what do you want to do and what do you want to have in life, but are you prepared to let go of the idea of who you are and fall into something far more concrete and incredible? And that is to recognize your true identity as a creator. So I loved it when I was reading this book by James Clear, because it's step by step. There's a manual and a checklist and a couple of tables. It's what most people pay money for, which is just tell me what I need to do. What steps do I have to follow? But James Clear is really, really clear, pardon the pun, right up front when he talks about not necessarily shifting our behaviors and our habits, but for profound and meaningful change to be able to last and be sustained, we have to be willing to let go of the idea of who we thought we were and what we were capable of. And that is so hard for most people because most people cling to their story of who they used to be and cling to their idea of what they need to become in order to be happy instead of realizing it's right here, right now. So I want to read a little bit from Atomic Habits because there are a few nuggets in here, but the real heart of this is, for me, what I've experienced practically. James Clear saying, if you really want to change, you need to do it at the level of identity. Now, how many of you, when I say, who are you? And you tell me your story and your characteristics and your attributes, and your ambitions and your gifts and your challenges and your successes and your failures, how many of you, when you tell me your story in its fullness as it appears to you, would be willing to let go of all of that? How many would let go of everything that they thought they were? That is the level of transformation that is the canvas for miracles to occur. I think we'll talk about miracles a little later. For now, let's just talk about habits and getting what you want to get. So I'm going to read a little bit from James Clear's Atomic Habits about this concept, which is true for me, but probably conceptual for others, of lasting and powerful change occurring at a level of depth, which is at the level of identity. And so here we go. James says, and I'm going to paraphrase a few bits and pieces here, but James says, changing our habits is challenging for two reasons. Number one, we try to change the wrong thing. And two, we try to change our habits in the wrong way. Our first mistake is that we try to change the wrong thing. To understand what I mean, consider that there are three levels at which change can occur. You can imagine them like the layers of an onion. The first layer is changing your outcomes. This level is concerned with changing your results, losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship, getting a new job. Most of the goals you set are associated with this level of change. And we're all taught that, right? We're all taught through school or through work, set a goal, figure out how you're going to achieve your goal, try and enjoy the journey on the way to the goal, and then when you get it, great, you'll be happy. Sound familiar, right? If you can somehow get from A to B, then when you get to B, you will be happy because you will have reached your goal. This is what we continue to be taught, right? And at some level, it's useful. But at a level of depth, of true transformation and freedom, goals tend to get in the way, because goals seem to have something attached to them that overshadows the pure and sustainable power of creation and creating. So that's the first level, is changing your outcomes. The second layer is changing your process. And I kind of intimated to that, right? If we have an if-then model, the then is the goal, and the if is, okay, if I can get that goal, then I'll be happy. How am I going to get from A to B, right? So the second layer is changing your process. This level is concerned with changing your habits and systems. Now, bear in mind, habits are behaviors. Systems can be all sorts of processes, both conscious and subconscious, that you've created. So, implementing a new routine at the gym, decluttering your desk for better workflow, developing a meditation practice, most of the habits you build are associated with this level, right? How can I just get into a routine with a few little triggers that I put here or there that are going to be able to change my behavior for me? So here we go. The first layer was change your outcomes or your goals. The second layer is changing your process. The third and deepest layer is changing your identity. This level is concerned with changing your beliefs, your worldview, your self-image, your judgments about yourself and others. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases you hold are associated with this level. Outcomes are about what you get. Processes are about what you do. Identity is about what you believe. Again, I ask, how many of you are willing to offer up the beliefs that you cling to about who you are and what you are capable of, your story, who others are and what they are capable of? How many of us are really willing to let go of our attachment to those? When it comes to building habits that last, when it comes to building a system of 1% improvements, the problem is not that one level is better or worse than another. All levels of change are useful in their own way. The problem is the direction of change. Many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve, right? Be, do, have. They focus on what do I need to have, right? Instead of what do I need to do, or more importantly, who do I need to be? So many people begin the process of changing their habits by focusing on what they want to achieve. This leads us to outcome-based habits. The alternative is to build identity-based habits. With this approach, we start by focusing on who we wish to become. Has that really landed? That who you are and who you think you are is completely up to you. That you can change that if you draw upon the never-ending ocean of potential that is your God-given gift to create. Every human being has this capacity to let go of beliefs that have held them back from loving themselves and others, to let go of these beliefs that form their identity, and to fall into something as they let go that is so much bigger and so much more powerful and so kind and loving that we can't even begin to name what that is. All I know is that when you let go of the idea of who you are and you are free falling, in that moment you will land in the arms of something incredible if we can just let go. Right? Sounds a little bit like a if we can just let go, then we'll be happy, doesn't it? Paradox. It's a kicker. All right. Here's to continue on what James Clear says. Most people don't even consider identity change when they set out to improve. They just think, I want to be skinny, which is the outcome. And if I stick to this diet, then I'll be skinny, which is the process, right? Stick to the diet process, then I'll be skinny. They set goals and determine the actions they should take to achieve those goals without considering the beliefs that drive their actions. They never shift the way they look at themselves, and they don't realize that their old identity can sabotage their new plans for change. This is the funniest thing, because commitment to creating something new is powerful and people are scared of it. Because when I invite humans to create something new in or of themselves, they can say, yeah, I'll do that. And if they don't, when we say, what held you back? Now we are in the area of beliefs. When we really are starting to do the work of, you aren't held back by your seeming ability to do or not do something. You are held back by what you believe about yourself. And even more so, you are held back by your attachment to what you believe about yourself. Behind every system of actions are a system of beliefs. The system of a democracy is founded on beliefs like freedom, majority rule, and social equality. The system of a dictatorship has a very different set of beliefs, like absolute authority and strict obedience. You can imagine many ways to try to get more people to vote in a democracy, but such behaviour change would never get off the ground in a dictatorship. That's not the identity of the system. Voting is a behaviour that is impossible under a certain set of beliefs. A similar pattern exists whether we are discussing individuals, organisations, or societies. There are a set of beliefs and assumptions that shape the system and identity behind the habits. Behaviour that is incongruent with the self will not last. You may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than creates, then you'll continue to be pulled towards spending rather than earning. You may want better health, but if you continue to prioritize comfort over accomplishment, you'll be drawn to relaxing rather than training. It's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying beliefs that led to your past behavior. You have a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. I love it. He's laid it out, page 32 of this book, right, out of 300 pages. And he said, without saying it, what comes next is a how-to guide. The more important and deep, well, not more important, but the deeper level of change that James Clear talks about is not the how-to challenge. It's the who-to challenge. I love it. I was reading a book by Steve Chandler just a couple of nights ago. And even beyond the who to be challenge is the idea that who you are is not a noun. I would encourage you to think through this incredible concept of who you want to become as being a verb, not a noun. I love it. Thank you, Steve. If you would like to experience love, true love, the incredible energy of being able to create something new with every single breath that you are given, not just every day you wake up or every happy new year when we set resolutions. Every single moment you have the opportunity to create who you want to be and to create a state that defines who you are. For me, I want to be in a place where I love other human beings deeply and myself deeply. And I want to be in a place where other human beings and myself are just concepts that I can let go of. Because if I love you, I am loving myself. That's what it means to let go of this idea of self, to let go of this identity. Most identities we think are an individual level. But we talked about systems and cultures, and there's one identity that doesn't discriminate or separate any of us, and that's the incredible gift that is human beings. The human stuff will differ in form on the outside. The being is this incredible thread that cannot be cut or broken if we can just open our eyes to see it. So, to bring this back and close it out, if and then you don't have to rely on things outside yourself in a future place or state to be happy and loved and whole and healthy. You already have what it is you are looking for, and you already have the incredible capacity to create that in any given moment, because you're not looking for a thing, right? If I can do this, then I will be happy or loved. Forget about it. Just have the bravery to remember who you are, and you'll know. You've got it now. The be, do, have model, right? It's not about what you have to do, this relentless trying through our own efforts to do the things we want to do so that we can have the material objects or experiences or emotions that we crave, and then you will finally be in a state of peace, or then you'll finally be the human that your parents wanted you to be, or that your school said you were going to be, or that your fortune teller said was. Forget about it, right? It is not a do, have, be world unless you choose for it to be that way, right? Like James Clear is saying, flip it, right? Who or what do I need to be right now in order to be able to do the things that I would like to be able to do in this life? I hope that helped. I hope that it's encouraged each of you to just take a breath and ask the question of who you really are. How attached to you are you to the identity that you've created, and can you remember that you have and are creativity itself? Because from that place, everything can be celebrated and welcomed into your life that you think is not here yet. You've already got it. Have a good one. I'll see you later. Thanks so much for listening and sharing this space with me. I really hope this has served you well, and it continues to do so for years to come. I love helping others, so if you would like to experience the power of creating together, please reach out to me. I'm here to help. And if you want to be on the podcast and leave a legacy, check out the contact details on my website, lyndenrochford.com, or you can find me on Facebook. I'd love to hear your story before I go. Wishing you so much love from the inside out. I'll see you soon.